My name is Joseph Haj, and I'm directing Henry V here at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. And my other job, I am the producing artistic director of Playmakers Repertory Company, which is in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I've known and been a huge admirer of Bill Rauch for many, many years, going back to his Cornerstone days. So I know Bill quite well from over the years. So and Bill has known me and my work, and so I was terrifically flattered when he called and said, "Hey, would you be interested in having a go at Henry V?" which is a play that I know very, very well. I was in Garland Wright's production of it at the Guthrie many, many years ago. I directed it with maximum security inmates at a facility outside of Los Angeles. I played Henry in a production of it in LA. And I'm directing it next season at my theater with the two Henry IVs put into one evening and run in rep with Henry V. And then coming out here to do it out here. So I have some particular ideas about that text, and I love it a great deal. You know, the chorus in Henry V is such it's such a brilliant dramaturgical device, because basically what it does is it removes any need for exposition anywhere in the play. So it allows Shakespeare to drop the needle on these ignition points in the play. So scenes can start right where it matters without a lot of buildup. And so what the chorus provides, and in how Shakespeare has built that play, it has an incredibly propulsive forward energy, which I'm very, very interested in. The engine of this play is such, it's so powerfully motored, and it invites an acting style that is muscular and front-footed. The play very rarely sits down to admire itself. It just goes in a way that I think is really thrilling and can be spectacular on the Elizabethan stage. So we see Hal through the journey of Henry IV Part 1 and through Henry IV Part 2. And as we get to the back half of Henry IV Part 2, we see him really putting on the mantle of responsibility. And of course, those plays culminate in the banishment of Falstaff. But that's hardly the last of Henry's sacrifices. And a lot of what Henry V charts is the price of leadership, the cost of leadership. And there's Falstaff, there's Scroop, there's Bardolph. There are over and over the sacrifices that he must make in order to be the leader that he needs to be, that he becomes. I'm very interested in what the critic John Arden says about the play, Henry V, that there is a secret play embedded in the official one. And I'm very interested in a production that can hold, if the official one is the heroic journey, then there is another play that really calls into question these ideas about war. And for me, and I think for this production at OSF, I think the play is neither a pro-war nor an anti-war play. I think what the play actually spends its time exploring and meditating on is the terrible price of war should one choose to engage in it. And I think that's where the play really lives. And Henry's own, when we see Hal pushing so far away from his father and what the crown represents, and watching him put that on, and he puts it on. Once he puts that on, he's committed to it. He doesn't spend much time questioning that. But the sort of ambivalence about it in the first place of Richard II was divine right of kings, certainly not his father, and absolutely not Hal. He questions his own right to being in that position in the first place. I think it is no accident that towards the end of Henry V, when he prays on the battlefield before the Battle of Agincourt, what he prays about is, please God, don't remember the wrongs my father made encompassing this crown. So this idea of guilt, the idea of feeling that he's not quite worthy or not quite the right person for this particular job, I think gives his journey, makes his journey one of depth and texture in a way that I think is very good for us. I think it's an incredible opportunity for audiences here at OSF to watch John Tufts, who played Hal in Henry IV Part 1, and in Henry IV Part 2, move on to playing Henry in Henry V. Because as marvelous and fun and complicated as the Hal ride is, it is no comparison to what's asked for from the actor who plays Henry V. It's such a deep and profound journey, and I'm so eager to work with John Tufts on that role. Who's been magnificent as Hal and who's going to be brilliant as Henry V. And I think the play, you know, we could spend hours trying to talk about what's the plot to As You Like It. I mean, it's so dense and so complicated, and Henry's not. And and I think audiences love it because of the sort of cleanliness of the ride. It needs to be played with incredible rigor, but the plot's really very simple. Should I go to France? Oh, I'm going to France. Will I win France? Winning France. Oh, and then I get the girl. The plot couldn't be simpler. So then what's interesting, of course, is not, oh, I wonder what the story might be, but watching this company-held event, this extraordinary group of actors telling the story of this play. It's a great actor's journey, and audiences, in my experience of it, simply love it for that reason.